It is March 26th, 2020. Things are moving along here. Chickens are out enjoying this first really, really warm day. It's going to get up to 72 today. They're 6.5 weeks old, and I'm going to go through the garden and show what's happening. Okay, first in these two beds that are trellised together with arch trellises, I've got a lot of my brassicas, and I've had issues with brassicas. I started everything inside, and most of them, when I moved them outside, didn't do too well. So I restarted several things, and you can tell that here with my Waltham broccoli. These are all starts that have come up outside. The ones that I had actually transplanted, like this one here, is one of the few that made it. Oh, let's see, there he is. Made it through the transplant, but all of my other Waltham broccoli had to redo the starts outside. Here's my broccoli romanesco that I moved out. I went ahead and planted another one next to this guy. That's another Waltham broccoli start that I seeded out here. This one's probably going to make it, but that one looked pretty iffy, so I put another seed in the ground there. Back here along this edge, I have my broccoli yodfa, and again, I have planted seeds back in these spots because I'm afraid they just pretty well died out here. I don't know if I didn't harden off enough or not. This is purple Vienna kohlrabi, and that might be the only one that makes it. The rest look about like that. So I've again popped some seeds in the ground here because they did not transplant well. Here I have all of my different leafy greens, all my lettuces, and they have had an amazing transplant. Now some of the outer leaves look a little funky, but all of them have a heart coming up still nice and strong. So I'm really hopeful on the lettuces doing well. We had snow the day after we planted everything out, so the fact that they're doing well at all, again, see that one, the outer leaves look pretty sad, but the heart is coming up, so that's good. So my lettuces, I think, did fine. There's a few more back here. I'm really excited about the Paris Island Cos romaine type. It looks like it's doing really well. However, my kales, I don't know about kales and starting them inside. I think I'll just direct seed completely next year. I started two different types inside, dwarf Siberian and scarlet kale. The dwarf Siberian didn't even make it outside. It died in the seed starting trays. This is the scarlet kale that was looking fine before I transplanted it, and I did spend a week hardening it off, but it did not do well, so I just popped more seeds in the ground there as well. On the inside of the trellis, so far the only thing that has been planted are some pea seeds, and over here we've got my sugar snap peas, and they are just starting to peek through down there, so there's a few of them coming up. On the other side of the trellis is my regular tall telephone and Alaska peas, and I'm not seeing any shoots there yet. Okay, this is the back side of the trellises. The wood back there is where I'm going to pop in my onions this weekend, but here in these stripes between the mulch, what you can see after all the rain we've had, this end of the bed is turnips. I just planted these Saturday. I'm not really seeing any sprouts yet. And then the other end here is beets. And I thought I might have seen a sprout this morning, but I'm not sure. It's potential that that's from a beet seed, but it's also possible that that's a weed. So we'll see. I haven't seen any movement there yet. Okay, we've moved over to the other two beds. This will eventually hold my peppers and okra. And the back side here, this trellis will have tomatoes, but nothing's there yet right now. I'll show you, these were direct seeded on February 15th, and these are my Brussels sprouts, and they are finally getting their true leaves in most of the places. Some of them still look pretty small. It's funny, they were all planted at the same time, but then like this one here is super tiny. But The plastic cups are what I used over each individual plant as mini greenhouses. However, at this point I don't think I'll be using them anymore. I'm probably going to pull them out of the garden because the rest of our forecast looks like we may not hit freezing again. These two spaces right here, little tiny seedlings, are tatsoi. I popped them in a few weeks ago, just direct seeded because I got the seed late, and I wanted to try them, so I popped them in there and hopefully they'll do well. All right, this front bed, again, it will also have tomatoes eventually, but right now in this end I have my cauliflower and cabbage. So here on the front is the purple Sicily cauliflower, and I'm pretty sure I ended up direct seeding all of these, although at different times, as you'll see, because they didn't do the transplant well. I think this big one might have made it, but this one, you can see the old dead one and then the new seedlings I popped in there. This is a cabbage. I don't have any idea how to say that, but there you go. That's what kind of cabbage it is. It's going to be purple. They're doing okay. I've had a couple more that I had to reseed. There's nothing under these cups, so while they're picking them up, that's another one of those cabbages. That's the one that really survived the transplant, the only one really. And I think it's okay. Its leaves look kind of funny, but I think it's still growing. So popped in an early Wakefield just to try it out, but it hasn't sprouted yet, I don't think. Oh, yeah, it has. There's a little sprout under there, so just give it a couple more days. And then the cups along the back there are my amazing cauliflower. None of that made it through the transplant, so I had to reseed all of those, and they have not come up yet. This back row is carrots all along this edge, which is why the mulch is kind of pulled back. I did have boards over it for a couple of weeks after planting, but I'm not really seeing a lot. That's potentially a carrot sprout, but I haven't really seen any action here yet, so I don't know how they're going to do. I'll show you back here. I do have some grow bags where I have planted potatoes. Those black grow bags are all potatoes. They have not started coming up yet. My garlic, which was planted last November, is looking fantastic. And then those are just some strawberries that I had last year. Stuck them in the dirt. They're coming back to life, so that's good. I've got more I'll be planting. And these two little guys are going to get different. One's going to get zucchini, one's going to get herbs. So now we'll go to the salad bar. Okay, this is the salad bar garden that Jay built me last year, and I had so much success in it that I'm doing it again this year, although with a little more specific planning. So here I've got all of my radishes coming up, and you can see the amount of space between rows. By the way, the plastic knives, like I said, it snowed Sunday morning, and so those held up the tarps I put over everything just to protect them from the snow. But the amount of space I have between my radish rows, my plan is that once these are about halfway done growing, I will plant another row between them, and then when I harvest the first row, then I'll replant, so I can just have successions of radishes going here. Back here in the corner it says red romaine, but I think my red romaine seeds were old. Nothing happened. I did pop in a couple of tatsoi seeds back there, so hopefully they pop up. And then on this side I've got rows of lettuce that will be cut and come again with the spaces between. These are planted thick so that they'll grow up, and we'll cut leaves off of them and let them continue to grow. I do have some kale here the same way, and then spinach. Now here, look at this. The dwarf Siberian that died inside came up fine out here, so I don't think I'm going to start any kale next year. I think I'll do everything direct sow on that. The giant noble spinach I have here is coming up pretty spotty. My seeds were old, very low germination. I've got a couple more I germinated on paper towel method inside, and I'll pop them in here as well, but I need to buy some more spinach seeds because mine were no longer growing. Out here on the outside of my porch, this planter box will be used for herbs. And then my green stalk. This was a complete trial for me this year. I tried starting some things inside and definitely didn't have enough light inside to do that. Everything I tried and it kind of died. Although these carrots down here, did survive the planting in there, and they're still trying to grow. There's one tiny little thing of beet down there, but everything else that I'd planted in it died. However, when I planted my lettuce in the garden before last weekend, I had several extras that I didn't really have room for in the garden, so I decided to pop one lettuce plant in each hole for what I had left. And most of them, again, they look a little weird on the outside, but these are really strong hearts on these. So I'm hoping for a good turnout on those. Some look better than others, but they're promising. And look at this. This is kind of crazy. I pulled out everything that I had planted, but these must have been other seeds that never germinated inside. And so I have some more lettuces germinating in these top ones. But oh, look, there's one spinach that made it, that germinated once it got out here in the warmth. So my plan for this is I will fill in the holes that don't have anything growing in them with bush bean plants on the bottom, and on the top some tiny cherry tomatoes that only get about 6 inches high. So that is it as far as what I have planted right now, except for my tiny little salad bar garden that I started inside and is now getting close to being able to harvest some baby greens. So that is my first garden update. Again, it's March 26, 2020, and things are starting to come alive.